What's your favorite Pop-Tart? That is the question you might be asking yourself when the winner of the Pop-Tart Bowl rushes across the field to eat the Pop-Tarts mascot. It's going to be a very, very interesting sight for all of college football. Up there with the Mayo Bowl Mayo Bath to the winning head coach. But we've got a fun game on deck, a top 25 matchup in the Pop-Tarts Bowl as number 18, NC State, takes on number 25, Kansas State. And we're here to break down everything you need to know for this first annual Pop-Tarts Bowl and, of course, share our official prediction. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and, of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Got our holiday special over there for you guys to give you the spread pick for this game, as well as every single college football bowl game and every NFL playoff game. Already hitting over 60% of our bowl game spread picks, well over that, and also hitting over 60% on the entire season. So if you want one of the best picks, some of the best picks for one of the lowest price in the country, this is the place for you. Again, it's never too late to sign up for our expert picks. Again, the link for that down in the description below. Become a member, guys, of our GE Nation. So the Pop-Tarts Bowl, how about that? This is going to be a fun one. NC State coming in at number 18, 9-3, really, I think, exceeded expectations this year. A lot of uncertainty. We're dealing with tons of injuries throughout the year. Quarterback carousels for the Wolfpack, and still managed to go 9-3. So what a phenomenal coaching job by Dave Doeren. Really, he deserves a lot of credit for what he did with NC State. Kansas State, on the other hand, the reigning Big 12 champs from 2022, entered the year with aspirations maybe win the conference again. Ultimately fell just short, 8-4 on the year, but all four losses by one possession. A 3-point loss to Missouri, losing on a 60-plus yard field goal with no time left. An 8-point loss to Oklahoma State, 3-point loss to Texas, and a 7-point loss to Iowa State. All of those very winnable for the Wildcats. Could have been a very different season, but yet they find themselves in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. You take a look at the offense for both of these teams. We'll start with NC State. They're down a few players, right? We're in the bowl season. You're going to see teams transferring out, players opting out. NC State down a few, right? They're down their number 4 wide receiver in Terrell Timmons. They're down their number 7 wide receiver in Porter Rooks. Down their number 5 rusher in Michael Allen, over 250 yards on the year. But no two major players, right? No one that's going to make too massive of an impact outside just giving this team extra depth at those positions. This is going to be the Brennan Armstrong show, right? He is going to have to carry the Wolfpack to victory if they want to win this game. Armstrong, the Virginia transfer, has dealt with injuries over the last couple of years, including this year with the Wolfpack. Over 1,600 yards, though, 11 touchdowns on the season, 544 rushing yards, and 6 touchdowns as well. Obviously, passing, he's wildly inconsistent, but lately he's been doing a lot of damage as a rusher, and that dates back to his days when he was a Cavalier. So this is a dangerous quarterback, guys. When he's on, it's very tough to stop. You just have to question yourself, number 1, can he stay healthy? Number 2, which Brennan Armstrong is going to show up? If it's the good one, he's going to have some weapons at his disposal, like a guy in Kevin Concepcion, 297 rushing yards as a wide receiver, and also 767 reception yards and 10 touchdowns. He is the number 1 target for Armstrong. He is the number 1 wide receiver and also one of the top rushers for the Wolfpack. But overall, guys, NC State, the talent is there, sure, but they're not executing very well. They're not the best offense in the world. They're averaging just 346 yards per game. They're only averaging 196 passing yards per game, and they're only averaging 150 rushing yards per game. They're not that explosive. They're not that electric, but they're getting the job done, and that ultimately is what matters the most. Kansas State, that's what they're going to hope to do, but the Wildcats going to be down a lot of starters entering this game. Will Howard already transferring out, more than likely going to USC. Their number 2 running back in Trayshawn Ward transferring out, 643 yards on the year for Ward. And they're going to be down their top 2 pass catchers and their tight end, Ben Sinat, and their wide receiver, Phillip Brooks. And they're going to be down their offensive coordinator and Colin Klein, who left to take the same position at Texas A&M. So Kansas State kind of in a disarray right now, especially offensively. They're going to have to rely on their backup quarterback, Avery Johnson, who, when he played this year for the Wildcats, was really, really good, kind of giving Kansas State a glimpse into the future and what could be under Johnson. 301 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, also over 220 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. He is very dangerous as a rusher, and that should give the Wildcats some hope, not only because of what he's capable of doing, but the fact that they're also going to pair him with DJ Giddens, who, as of now, has not transferred out, is not going to transfer out, is not opting out of this bowl game. The number one rusher for the Wildcats expected to play over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns on the year. That RPO threat with Johnson and Giddens going to be very tough to stop. Going to be one of the more difficult RPO threats, maybe the most difficult threat that NC State has seen all year long. Because you look at NC State's defense, they're going to be solid. They're going to pretty much be 100%. Peyton Wilson, the star linebacker, is expected to play. The anchor of this defense has done so much for this program. Is one heck of a player, one heck of a leader. Some NFL team is going to get a steal at linebacker with Wilson. 138 tackles, 6 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. I mean, this guy just does it all. When, of course, he can stay healthy. 33 sacks on the year for the Wolfpack, 24 forced turnovers. They're 25th in the nation in total defense, allowing just 323 yards per game, and only 104.8 of those are coming on the ground. Problem, though, is that NC State, while they're not allowing too many big-time rushing games, they're allowing just enough, right? Because that's how NC State's going to have to win this game, right? If you're NC State, you want Avery Johnson to have to win the game through the air, down his top 2 pass catchers, obviously having not thrown the ball that much this year. Kansas State wants to win the game on the ground. They want to dominate up front. NC State has allowed at least 100 rushing yards in all but 3 games this year. Those 3 games were against VMI, Louisville, and Wake Forest. 2 of those teams, absolutely abysmal offenses in Wake Forest and VMI, and Louisville, a very sporadic offense at that. This is, again, an NC State defense that really has not seen an RPO rushing attack like Kansas State's going to show up with on the Pop-Tart Bowl game day. This is nothing they've really seen before. And again, they've allowed at least 100 yards in 9 of the 12 games they've played. That's a bit of a concern if you're NC State facing this dominant of a rushing attack. So you have to force Kansas State to kind of change their entire game plan and say, look, Avery, we're sorry. If you want to be the quarterback of the future, you've got to show us you can win the game through the air, because NC State's not allowing anything up front. Kansas State, on the other hand, defensively, look, it's Kleiman's specialty, right? Chris Kleiman is a defensive-minded coach, and he's a good one at that. But the Wildcats going to be down a handful of starters. They're going to be down their star safety, and Kobe Savage, who's 3rd on the team in tackles. They're going to be down their quarterback, and Will Lee, 6th on the team in tackles. Those 2 players in the secondary combining for 5 of the 12 interceptions that Kansas State has produced this year. But overall, defensively, they're solid. They've only given up 370 yards per game, 230 through the air, 140 on the ground. And really, the recipe for both these teams is relatively similar. You've got to contain the other team's quarterback. If you're NC State, you can't allow Avery Johnson to run wild on you. If you're Kansas State, you can't allow Brennan Armstrong to have an electric game. You can't allow him to go off on you. You can't allow him to torch you. Force Brennan Armstrong to air it out. We've seen Brennan Armstrong be wildly inconsistent. He can turn the ball over quite a bit, maybe more so than Dave Doeren and NC State, and even during his time at Virginia, than they would have liked. So force him to win the game solely through the air. Force him to win the game through the air with not the best pass catchers in the world, not the most electric core of pass catchers in the world. But also Kansas State, what you've got to do is you've got to make sure you don't allow up any big plays. They've allowed a lot of big plays this year. If you allow NC State to get 1 or 2 big home run balls, whether it's through the air or on the ground, you're in trouble. You go back to that final game for the Wildcats, one of the last final games, I should say. Kansas State allowing 4 touchdowns against Iowa State in the snow, 4 touchdowns of at least 60 yards. They allowed 6 touchdowns. 4 of them went for at least 60 yards. That's a problem. Kansas State has to find a way to get off the field. They've got to find a way to force Brennan Armstrong into mistakes, make him inconsistent, and obviously not allow the home run balls to pour the offense back out there after a very short drive. You know, you got a backup quarterback. You've got a lot of guys out on the offensive side of the ball. You're going to need to make sure that they can have long, sustained drives, give the defense a rest, but also to the point where, things don't get out of hand too quickly if you're the Kansas State defense. So that's something to watch out for if you're Chris Kleiman and Kansas State. So what's going to happen, guys? We got the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It's going to be a fun game, especially the ending. Not only is it going to be a great game because it's a top 25 matchup, but the winner of this game gets to go eat the Pop-Tarts mascot. And obviously that's going to be, probably convincing me to go grab myself a Pop-Tart as well. So this is going to be a fun game. You look at this game, guys. NC State, less opt-outs, less transfers. Obviously going to be a more complete team. Kansas State, on the other hand, a much more battle-tested team. Certainly playing a tougher schedule in the Big 12, certainly being a much better team. They were a couple plays away from maybe being a 10 or 11 win team, maybe competing for a playoff spot. They beat Texas, they beat Missouri. They're a 10-win team. They're maybe in the Big 12 championship game. I mean, so many things just went wrong for Kansas State, but we're so close to going right and being a completely different year. This is going to be a very, very close game, but I ultimately believe that Kansas State will contain Brennan Armstrong. I believe we will see an inconsistent night out of Brennan Armstrong. I think the Kansas State defense just enough. I don't think NC State is able to stop the threat of Avery Johnson and Giddens at running back. I think Kansas State runs wild on NC State. It is relatively close, but the Wildcats get the win. They clinch another 9-win season and carry some momentum into a big offseason filled with tons of changes in Manhattan. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube, taking Kansas State to win the Pop-Tarts Bowl over NC State. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks, that holiday special there for you guys. Take advantage of it. Sign up with us today and become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.